right, everyone. I'd like to begin the meeting, so welcome everyone to the Ann Arbor Commission on Disability Issues meeting for October 16th, 2019. We will start with roll call. So I'd like to start at the end to my left with Larry.
Larry Keeler, Commissioner.
Debbie Poster, Commissioner.
Tim Hall, Commissioner.
Elizabeth Nelson, Member City Council.
I've done two later.
I am Zach Damon. I'm the chairman of the commission.
I'm Sally Peterson. I'm the vice chair of the commission.
Matthew Solomon, Commissioner.
Rachel Hawkins, Commissioner.
Corey Ferris, Staff Liaison.
All right. Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. Next, I would like to have the approval of the agenda. So first of all, thank you, Corey, for your help with that. I do appreciate it. If there is anyone at this time who has not received an agenda, please let us know and we can get you one at this time. But I would like to take a minute to just look through the agenda. If there are any corrections, misspellings, anything like that, please let us know at this time. All right. Well, since there are not any corrections or misspellings, I would like to move to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Sally seconds. All in favor to approve the agenda for today's October 16th meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The meeting agenda is approved. Next on the agenda, we have the approval of the September 18th meeting minutes. And of course, if you have not received a copy of the meeting minutes through email or today here at the meeting, please let myself or Corey know and we can get you a copy of that. But I'd like to take a minute to review those, and if there are corrections, please let us know at this time. Thank you.
Not a correction, just a confirmation.
Right. All right, so now that we've had an opportunity to review the meeting minutes from Wednesday, September 18th, I would like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
So I just had a quick question
sure.
about,
Actually, he makes the motion, it's second, then there's discussion.
okay,
Sorry,
No.
just
sorry.
Robert's Rules of Order.
Sure, pardon me.
So are we moving to approve them, or could we discuss them before approval?
You move to approve, then it's second, and then there's discussion.
Oh, I see.
Yep,
Move to-
so we're going to move to approve them so that they can get approved, and then we can discuss the meeting minutes afterwards.
It's Robert's Rules of Order.
All right, so I'll just make a move to approve. Is there a second to approve the meeting minutes?
Second.
All right, Sally seconds. All in favor to approve?
No, we don't,
Oh, we
no,
don't.
now we do discussion.
Oh, now we do
Now we can have
discussion. Pardon me,
discussion,
folks. Now we do discussion. Matt, go ahead.
So, having been present at the meeting a month ago, Roman numeral 4A, I recall a fairly active discussion of which I see no notation or notes on. I don't know what is typical of the minutes, but my recollection is that there was a discussion with John Fournier and Jackie Beaudry, and I just don't see any of that present here. I don't know how much I should expect to see, but I don't see anything.
Yeah, Corey, did you get a chance to review the meeting from last month?
Yeah, generally just put like an outline of the discussion. Minutes are also capturing decisions made. If you guys want to see more detail for that particular item in the minutes, I can go back and review it and
Okay.
That's not an issue.
Sure.
I think in this case, there were some fairly important issues that were raised in that discussion that I want to make sure get logged and I want to make sure get followed up upon. So I would appreciate an expansion of 4A at the very least. Again, it's understandable, seeing as you were not present. But I don't know if there's a way to defer this approval of minutes until we have a more accurate rendition or more comprehensive rendition of the discussion on that point, if not others.
Sure. I definitely hear what you're saying, and is that something we can do, Corey? Can we just make a revision and?
Why not send it all around to everyone?
Okay.
I have a comment.
Larry, you have a comment?
The comment is traditionally, Matt, we're not, we didn't take note of question and answer sessions with public speakers. It was, the basic thing with that is, at least the way it used to be, is that we were not supposed to even really question them a whole lot. So that may be why it didn't get put in the minutes. If we did question them, I suppose it should be, but as a general rule, we didn't do it. We just let them come in to speak, and if we, it was kind of off the record sort of thing.
I mean, that's
Give us
entirely a
information.
different matter.
So that's probably why.
I guess I don't really know what the precedent is as far as, to what extent the commissioners get to dialogue with speakers and to what extent it's meant to be a monologue.
Sally, you have a point?
I'll look at the bylaws, but I don't think it says anything there, but I think that was a traditional thing, but that could be, it was just traditional that you got information from him, didn't put him too many questions, but that was a guy who was a little different.
Thank you, Larry. Sally, you have a comment?
Just for a little history and some of the precedent that might have been set, Corey, before you, there was like a standard format that all commissions were supposed to use for recording notes. That left out a lot of the rich detail in the conversations just because they wanted a standard format. But I hear what you're saying in terms of adding some depth to what we actually discussed. I think we cannot, I think it's possible to add more detail of the richness of the conversation without violating or compromising or undermining the formatting that's in place. I think the risk that Larry is talking to is that if the minutes get so lengthy that you show both sides of the argument, this person said this person said that, back and forth, that's the level of detail they don't want to get to. But I think that there are some bullet points and highlights of what was actually presented that could add depth and more meaning to the minutes.
Well,
So if there's a middle ground there, I would support that.
Rachel?
I support that as well. I would say that even if there were brief bullet points or like a mention of these themes
These
came
were the
up,
topics that
these
came
were
out.
these were some topics that we were hoping to have addressed in the future. It
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily, I think that back and forth isn't always productive in the meetings. It would make it very long, you're right.
Yeah.
So having some generalized understanding of that discussion would be good.
Key topics included,
Yeah.
ba-dum,
Yeah.
ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate and piggyback off of all of that. I think that is, a good addition, and hopefully we can do that moving forward.
Can I just request that the issue of the ADA coordinator be among those bullet points? I believe that issue is still very much lingering, and as far as I can tell, not satisfactorily been resolved. And so I don't want our big minutes to in any way signal that we are at rest and satisfied with the current disposition of the ADA coordinator, because I think there were some very relevant questions that got raised 1 month ago, and reading this summary, you don't get that sense at all.
Thank you. I mean, I definitely appreciate, the observation. Go ahead, Sally.
With that as a great example, is it, and this is my question because I'm not quite sure if this follows the protocol, but it would seem reasonable that if there are outcomes that were supposed to be put on the agenda for another meeting, for example, clarifying the role of the ADA coordinator or augmenting the role of the ADA coordinator, if there's some sort of like to-dos coming out of the discussion, if that can be recorded, because I think that way we can hold ourselves accountable
Yeah.
and not lose that kind of detail, if that addresses yours.
Exactly.
And
Kind
agreed
of-
with you both. I think that's a great idea, Sally, just so that we have a great record of what we've done and also what we're working on. So,
And I think that also speaks to just our desire to have a clear understanding of what the planned follow-up is and what are the to-do items. So I think having that in some standardized way where someone can easily read it would be very helpful.
great. All right. Well, thank you all for that. Any more discussion on the minutes at this time? No? Okay. Go
Can
ahead.
I just offer a suggestion for Robert's Rules of Order in
Sure.
terms of the protocol
Sure.
for voting on these at the next minute? So I think it would be appropriate for Matthew to say, I move to put approval of this month's agenda on the next month's this month's augmented meeting minutes once distributed by Corey on the agenda of the next meeting.
I move to delay approval of the minutes until the minutes are revised as per discussion.
I'll second.
Support. And then
All
we'll
right,
vote on
Larry
that.
seconds? Okay.
Yes.
And,
All those,
all
any
those in-
discussion?
yeah, any discussion on that? No? Okay, all in favor of putting the approval of the September 18 meeting minutes to the next meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. We'll be able to do that next meeting. And thank you, Sally, for guiding us through that.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
I'm a stickler for protocol.
No, that's good. All right. So next we will move forward to presentations. First up, we have Katie Monkevitz of the Washtenaw Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you. I'm going to pass out our October event brochure.
Thank you.
Sorry, I don't mean to check too much.
No, that's all right.
That might be important.
No, no.
You're welcome.
All right, just a couple things to highlight in the brochure that I just handed out to you. Got a lot of cool stuff happening for the rest of the month. One thing that I didn't officially mention, but that I think everybody should be aware of, is that we do celebrate Halloween at the library. So if you have little ones, it's a really good time downtown on the day of Halloween. I try and always catch it. It's adorable. But just a thought since it's October. But what I'd really like to talk about are some other events that are coming up. On Tuesday, October 22nd, from 7 to 8 p.m. in the Westgate Branch Library, we're going to be having a session on Introduction to Tai Chi. We're going to be joining Greg Nallmeyer from the Spiral Chi Center to learn about the amazing healing and martial potential of Tai Chi. You'll be able to try some movement and learn a little bit about how Tai Chi works. So that's sort of a beginner's level thing. If you're curious, you don't really know what it is, I'd encourage you to come on by. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is Thursday, October 24th, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Downtown Library in our secret lab. We are having a microprocessor showdown. In this self-guided demo, you can try out basic coding and physical computing on several different platforms, including the Raspberry Pi 4, Arduino, Microbit, Flora, Esperino, Makey, and Circuit Playground. Try your hand at making wearable tech, solar-powered Morse code transceivers, blackout poetry, animation with Scratch, and much more. Beginners are welcome, so whether or not you've just understood anything that I just said, you are welcome to come by and experience those things. The next thing that I would encourage you to check out is on Monday, October 28th, 7 to 8:30 p.m. at our Westgate Branch Library. We're going to be talking about My Heritage and Ancestry Library Edition, databases and other genealogy resources at the AADL. We're going to have Mary Henderson, who's a professional genealogist with genetic genealogy research, to provide an overview of genealogy resources that are available to AADL patrons, including Ancestry Library Edition and My Heritage Library Edition. So those are things that are available to all of our library patrons through our website, but they can be a little bit hard to get started with, so this will be a way to learn a little bit more about those things and get started if you're interested in genealogy.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna talk about some materials that I brought with me, and what I brought today was a little bit inspired. I was pulling together some resources, basically a resource list for one of our local senior centers regarding resources for caregivers of people who have Alzheimer's or other dementia. And as I was pulling together this list from the Ann Arbor Library collection, I thought to myself, I wonder how many of these resources are available in alternative formats, particularly what's available on Braille and audio reading download, our BARD system. And I was pleasantly surprised to find quite a bit of the resources available at AADL through BARD, as well as some additional stuff. So I brought with me today a couple of things that are available in both places. The first one is called Learning to Speak Alzheimer's, a groundbreaking approach for everyone dealing with the disease by Joanne Koenig-Kost. Family Therapist offers a humanistic approach to coping with Alzheimer's and related forms of progressive dementia. This offers practical solutions for bathing, dressing, eating, toileting, spending leisure time, and handling behavior issues, emphasizing the importance of creating a positive atmosphere for the well-being of both patients and caregivers. The next one is Slow Dancing with a Stranger, Lost and Found in the Age of Alzheimer's by Meryl Comer. Television journalist describes the journey she and her husband, National Institute of Health Dr. Harvey Grelnick, have endured for the 2 decades since he first started to show signs of early onset Alzheimer's at the age of 51.
Wow.
And the last one that I selected is called The Emotional Journey of the Alzheimer's Family by Robert B. Santulli and Keston Blandon. Immediate family members, friends, and neighbors of those with Alzheimer's undergo tremendous psychological and emotional change as they witness the disease progress. Santulli and Blandon chart this journey, the process of adaptation and acceptance, and provide insight on how to understand and cope with personal stress. And as always, I would encourage anybody who needs to contact us to do so at the Washtenaw Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled. Our email is wlbpd@aadl.org. You can reach us by phone at 734-327-4224. And as always, visit our website at wlbpd.aadl.org. Does anybody have any questions for me today?
What is the age limit for the Halloween party?
We are focusing it towards the little ones, but everybody's welcome to the Halloween party.
Okay.
It's a big food.
Well, thank you, Katie, so much for everything that you do, and we appreciate you, and happy Halloween.
You too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Let's see. So next we have Alex Gossage, the interim executive director for Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living. I did not get an email from him whether he was going to be here or not this afternoon, but it looks as if he is not here. So is everyone okay with me moving forward since he is not here? Okay. Next we have public comment, and it seems as if we do not have anyone available for public comment. So we'll go ahead and move forward. All right. Next, we have the city personnel report from Mr. Corey Ferris. Corey?
Well, again, apologies on not being here last month. I'm glad to be back. One thing I did want to mention too, over the summer, we did hire a new police chief, Chief Michael Cox. So
All right.
good to have him join us, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think, speaking of having him join us, I think it would be awesome to have him maybe introduce himself to the commission once he's a little more settled in. So.
Chief who?
Michael Cox? Is that-
Yep, Chief Michael Cox. Yep.
I didn't catch the names.
Michael Cox.
Yeah, I did that. Now I'm really full of it.
What department was he with previously?
I believe it was Boston.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. All right, and then you had a comment? thank you. Anything else to report at this time?
Nope, that would be it.
All right. Thank you, Corey. All right. Next, we have the chair report. So I've got a few things here. Item 1 on the chair report for today. As discussed in past meetings, I just wanted to discuss this with all of you. Of course, we still do need a Partners in Access Committee chair. Now there's sort of an opening for that. And so I know we've discussed that possibly having a new commissioner once they are voted on and on the commission, sort of having them take over the responsibilities. But I just wanted to, again, address this one more time to see if there were any current commissioners at this time that were interested in being the Partners in Access chair. If not, then we can move forward with figuring out who can take the lead on that. But just wanted to open that up to comment at this time. Larry?
I had thought about taking that over, so we have to get with you and
Okay.
talk to you about how to set up things and
Okay.
see what kind of agenda we got and see what past people have done with that. So,
Yep.
And I think I had another person interested in being there as well.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. Who was the person that had expressed interest to you?
That'd be Debbie.
That would be me.
Okay, Debbie. Okay. Right, yeah, I mean, so, yeah, either of you could be the chair, and then one of you could be the co-chair of the Partners in Access.
Well, and my thought is if we get a new person on there, we just want to slam them into, oh, hey, you're on
Right.
the commission, you're going to chair it right now. We got to give them some time to, but I'd take any new people or anybody else who'd want to be on there.
Sure.
And if somebody else thought they could wanted to chair it, I wouldn't mind.
Okay.
But I'll chair it to get it started anyway.
Sure. No, I mean, I definitely appreciate you taking the lead on that, Larry, and Debbie, you as well, to make sure that that committee continues to move forward. As you guys know, with the unfortunate departure of Allison and all the great work that she had done with the Partners in Access Committee, it's a vital, I think, subcommittee to this commission and what they're doing. So I'm glad to see that both of you are interested in that, and I will make sure to follow up with both of you.
And we may have some issues coming up that I know about that actually might be ready for it, so.
Okay, sounds good, and I'll make sure to get you that meeting schedule as well, because I know Corey and I were communicated about that as well. Debbie, you had a question?
Has there been any more discussion on snow buddies?
Yeah, good question. I don't think we've addressed that recently as of yet, but it's interesting you mentioned that, because I was going to mention something. The Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living actually sent out a survey about snow removal to, I think,
Yes.
most of its people on its database. Did any of you see that?
I just saw it today and I have to still respond to it.
Okay. But yeah, I'd be interested to know kind of whether that's something separate or whether they're working with Snow Buddies. I'm not sure if that was something completely independent, so. Did you have a comment, so?
I don't know for sure if it was independent or not, but it seems like, so I think Lisa Brush has been our contact with Snow Buddies.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
And I think the way it left things was they were having trouble learning how to identify who would be in need of it.
Right,
And so maybe that survey was one way of doing that. But I think it would be helpful to put it on the agenda of our city administrator as well, because he was going to offer some support for it. So
okay,
I can follow up with Howard.
yeah.
If Larry, do you know Lisa Brush? Do you remember
I have
working
not,
with her?
I actually haven't met her,
Okay,
but Allison did, so I could maybe email Allison on how to get a hold of her or something. I gotta start, because I'm starting this from new, because she did it.
yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah, if you could, Sally, follow
I'll
up
follow
with,
up with Howard.
yeah. That would be great, because, yeah, as you guys know, I mean, that season is fast approaching. And it would be good to sort of even, know what's going on with that, whether there are services, set up to help, or if there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. So, thank you for that note, Debbie, I appreciate that. All right, next, on the chair report, by the way, I have some very fun news. We have 3 new applicants for the commission. And of course, I will touch, I hope, Larry, you know, you can touch a
You
little bit.
stole
on-
my thunder.
Well, I mean, I won't talk all about it. But yeah, we have 3 new applicants, and I'll let Larry talk about them. And Larry, if, once you present, we can move the rest of that down to recruiting activity. But we do have 3 new applicants, so I'm excited about that. The other thing is too, and Sally and I were talking about this on the way in, I unfortunately was not in contact with Erica Briggs or Kathy Griswold to present at this meeting, unfortunately. But I was hoping to have them both present at the November 20th meeting regarding the HB 4738 crosswalk ordinance.
good.
So I will be following up with both of them, seeing if they can make the November meeting. And then from there, we can move forward on that. Also, I know I had mentioned that I was going to circulate a copy of HB 4738. And of course, that has not been done yet, so I will make sure to do that before the November meeting as well. And of course, thank you, Sally, for letting me know that it's already on the web and easy access. So, all right. Lastly, for me, there's also an interesting event going on this evening, and I know tonight is sort of last minute, but just wanted to put the information out there. There's the Dively Family Visions annual benefit and dinner auction this evening, and for those of you that don't know about the Dively Family Visions Foundation, so the purpose of the Dively Family Foundation is to support research, treatment, and cures, and to provide public awareness and to promote the well-being of persons with disabilities or the underprivileged. And so it's very, very, it's a very, very rewarding foundation. And we did have the opportunity to have them on Ann Arbor Inclusive a couple of years ago. And very inspirational family, you guys. Their home was actually destroyed in the Dexter tornado a few years ago. And they were able to raise funds to be able to just completely rebuild. But then also on top of that, started the foundation. One of the daughters actually invented an alarm for those that have hearing loss, so that if there was sort of a natural disaster, it would act as an alarm for them to be able to evacuate in a safe manner as well. So just an amazing family and an amazing organization. So I'm hoping to make that and say hello to them this evening. Let's see. And that's going to be located, by the way, at the Washtenaw Farm Council grounds at 5055 Ann Arbor, Saline Road. And of course, that'll be happening, every fall. So of course, I'll do my best next year as that approaches to make sure that we all have a lead on that and then can attend as well.
That's where A-Ride don't go.
Yeah, right. It's a little bit outside of the
So,
limit, Larry, unfortunately.
If you're planning on it, you can't do it unless you got another method than A-Ride.
Well, yeah, I just thought we'd walk, you know?
I would do it, I'm not that far.
Yeah. No, just kidding. But, so that's all I have for the chair report. All right. So next, we have the Community Engagement Committee and the Ann Arbor Inclusive Update from Ms. Rachel Hawkins.
Okay, so we got some good information. I know there had been some time where we didn't always have an update. We do today. So the next Ann Arbor Inclusive Show will be playing on October 18th. It's the 48th one. It is with a disability workshop with Karen Meets, who's the coordinator for the Ann Arbor SIL Center for Independent Living, and so she's talking about the workshop. There are also some upcoming tapings. So they're taping 2 shows October 22nd. And that will be with Rachel Kosla, who's a mobility innovation manager at Phoenix Mobility Rising, and also Jack Bernard, a therapy dog specialist. So a lot of great things coming up. And then after that, there'll be 2 more additional tapings in February. So they're still sticking with taping 2 shows at a time, and that seems to be working from what we've heard. So
Sure.
I'm glad that's working for, their staffing levels, and also so they're able to have all the episodes for for each month.
Sure. And again, thank you so much to Tom Hoatland and Linda
Yes.
Evans for their continued effort to make sure that Ann Arbor Inclusive is something that's representing the commission and Ann Arbor
Yes.
very well. So,
Yes, thank you very much to
Yeah.
both of them.
Yep, wonderful.
I have a question.
Oh, Debbie, you have a question?
Yeah, you said there was a taping. How do you access the tape?
So the tapings, basically they're taping 2 different shows at a time, and then they broadcast 1 per month. So there had been a change that we had talked about a month or 2 ago, or over the summer, where they were no longer able to tape one episode per month.
Can you get them by the
it-
internet?
So we wouldn't necessarily be seeing the taping, but we see it when it's the finished product.
Okay, and then Rachel, I think
No,
Larry
how
had,
do you, how
go
do
ahead.
you
Does
get
that
to
help?
access it? How do you
I
get?
think it's channel 16.
It's channel 16, but can you also access it on the, under, that one under a different,
You
on
can
the
actually
internet?
go to YouTube and type in Ann Arbor Inclusive. I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, they have their own sort of YouTube search, if you will.
I know it's
Channel.
channel 16. I can't remember what night. I thought it was Thursday or Friday nights for the new ones.
Well, that'll be 18th.
You remember
Yeah, that would be Friday night. The 18th is Friday.
So yeah, if anybody wants to be able to see the most recent episodes of Ann Arbor Inclusive, you can see them on, was it Comcast Channel
16.
16.
And then you can also search it on YouTube, Ann Arbor Inclusive, and view all of the recent episodes there.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
All right. So next, we do have the Partners in Access, but we do not have a chair for that. There have not been any meetings, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward from that this evening. Next, we have recruiting activity, Mr. Larry Keeler.
Well, that chair could be me in the near future, but no, you pretty much stole all my thunder, Zach, because I didn't. Well, I'd seen that we do have 3 applicants out. I was going to check to see if any of them had been accepted today, but I accidentally deleted Christine's latest email. And I was trying to stop in, but now, you know, you gotta stop in and stop at the counter for 3rd floor. If nobody answers a thing, they just give us another way of not getting up there to drop in. So I will email and see if anybody's been accepted. I don't think they have, but,
Well,
and the number is, that you need to call to apply is 7946161, which will take you to the mayor's office, and you can request an application, or you can get one from the application. I gotta remember that, you can get it from online for the, under the applications, and, what is that? Again, the applications and, the boards and applications.
boards and
section.
commissions?
Boards and
Thank you.
commissions, yeah, board and commissions. It was sitting there, but it wasn't coming out. And you can get an application, fill it online from there too.
It's hump day, Larry, we get it. It's all good, man.
Yeah, I was up at the hospital since 5 o'clock yesterday morning.
Okay.
I'm sorry to
and-
hear that.
And I just have one point, and then I will get to you. But I did want to say that I had an opportunity to review Christine's email, Larry, and so I did get an opportunity to see the candidates and also review their credentials. There was a little bit about one of the applicants. It said that they would
Oh, yeah.
require a 7-vote
No,
resolution to be
yeah, I
appointed.
saw that.
I'm sorry, Larry, what?
I did see that.
Okay,
I didn't see the last one.
okay.
7.
So, again, it did say that one of them
Right.
would require a 7-vote resolution to be appointed. But again, the other 2 applications were to sort of be for our consideration, seeing that the qualifications would sort of suit the appointment. So those 2 would be, and I hope I don't butcher the names, Tori Nagash and of course Alex Gossage. So I don't know if anyone has had an opportunity to review any of the qualifications. If you have not, I can resend that information to you guys.
I didn't mention that because we usually haven't mentioned them until the application is actually, we haven't mentioned the applicants until they've actually been confirmed or if they're actually
Oh.
here. We usually don't do that because we just,
Sorry about that.
we
Phil.
just don't. That's why I didn't do it. I just said there's 3 applications that are qualified, and once, if any of those applicants were here, I'd ask if they'd want to be mentioned, but you know, you never know what's gonna happen in the process. There could be denial or some such thing, so I just wait for the, that's why I
Okay,
didn't
well,
do that.
I do, thank you for letting me know, and I do apologize for that faux pas, and I will be more on top of it. Thank you.
Point of
And so-
clarification.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't believe I understood the part about 7-vote majority for one
I can
candidate,
explain
and the
that.
other 2 would require some
Yeah.
other.
I-
Can someone please clarify that for me?
So, the other candidate is sort of not a registered elector
Oh, you can
in
explain
Ann
that.
Arbor. So, they're, not registered.
Residency.
Yeah, as far as
If you're not from Ann
residency
Arbor,
goes.
and you're out of, and you're
So,
out of the township, you have to have a 7.
so in the past, those possible commissioners have been blocked earlier in the process. I mean, I guess I'm delighted to know that they're not being blocked. So, yeah.
Can I
Yeah,
add?
sure.
So I talked to Christine earlier this week about the candidate who lives outside of the city of Ann Arbor. And there have been times that when we had a very full commission, when we didn't have a full commission, that we were accepting applicants pending a 7-vote count of city council rather than a 6-vote count, because they brought to the table something unique or something not already represented on the council on the commission, and the commission had probably fewer than 10 people at the time. And I think given that we have 1 opening and 3 applicants, the consideration I heard from Christine is that the mayor is less likely to put forward a person who doesn't live in the city at this time if there's only 1 opening and there are 2 applicants who do live in the city that would be qualified.
I mean, I hate to get hung up on procedure, but I do think this is an area where we need some clarification based on, what has happened up on this group in the past. And I believe at least 1 commissioner serving is not a resident of Ann Arbor, but yet has been, outstanding in service. So I just think we need a clear indication of what those rules are, because I do recall in the past people being turned down before ever reaching this body because they were not residents of the city of Ann Arbor. And that was one of the directives I was given in trying to recruit from people in the disabled community that I know who said, yeah, I would love to, but I don't live in Ann Arbor. So I, for one, would like some clarification on what that is. I do understand it's completely at the mayor's discretion, but we need to get a clear policy there.
All right, yep, and Larry and then Elizabeth.
Yeah, the clarification, the basic thing is you're more likely to be considered too if you work in Ann Arbor, if you're in another township and you work in Ann Arbor, you do a lot of business in Ann Arbor, you may get more considered. There's a lot of considerations that go into it that you can, but the thing is, it's Ann Arbor Commission on Disability Issues, so that exemplifies the fact that it's that it is Ann Arbor, and it does put out keep away people, for instance, like that go to EMU, live all their life in Ipsy and say, oh, I want to sit on the Ann Arbor Commission. They don't live here, they don't know nothing about it, and it does keep that out. But there has to be some kind of gatekeeping. Some of the commissioners that have been on in the past from other townships have done a lot of work in the Ann Arbor, and that will sway their direction. And of course, when you get up there, it really matters what city council has to say when they vote.
Right. Thank you,
That's
Larry.
really what it comes down to.
Right. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate that note. Elizabeth?
I just wanted to comment that at the last meeting, Larry, I mentioned to you that I had access to the directory of all the applications, and there are at least a dozen applicants to the Disability Commission. And Larry, I'd be happy to sit down with you and talk to you about some of the qualified candidates, because I know that there has been an appointment to this body since I've been on council. And I think there is the opportunity for conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
And the idea of, there are not only 3 applicants, is what I'm saying.
Is
And
it-
I can speak to the point about the non-residents. I agree with you, Matthew, that communication should be clearer. I'm not aware of what you're talking about. I do know that there's a strong feeling like you have to have a pretty strong connection to Ann Arbor to justify participating in a border commission. If you live outside the city, there are others. I think we recently appointed somebody to environmental commission, perhaps, who works in a department at the university, and he happens to live in like a township island. And so he's not technically in the city, but he really kind of lives in the city. But we've had applicants fairly recently to other boards and commissions that were appointed by council that were required the 7 votes. I'm not aware of what this body has had as a policy or what you've been told.
Yeah. Sally?
Actually, follow-up question for Elizabeth. Will you be able to go back and find out if there are in fact 12 people who have applied and said they're interested in the Commission on Disability Issues? Yet we're being told 3.
Right.
I don't know why you're being told 3. I'm
Okay.
looking at some that are, some of them are maybe a year ago, but some of them are 7-8 months ago. If Larry's in charge of this recruiting, I'm happy to sit down with him and talk to him about
That's fine.
what qualifications they
So-
have. I don't know why you were told 3.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
puzzling to me.
Yeah, Elizabeth, I think that would be great. Larry, are you open to that?
Oh, yeah, I know, I might have some ideas why, and I might be able to clarify that. I'll give you my email address is up there already, isn't it, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I'll reach out to you, Larry, because I mean, I can see a bunch, what ward they live in. I mean,
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Well, and there might be some other issues too, because there are the occasional, we are a slight bit of a gatekeeping function, and there are people there are a few applications, and I don't know if what the applications you got there are, but there may be a few that for some reason or another, we may have ruled somebody as not a good fit for the commission.
So I think, it's fair to say there have been some irregularities in the past. And I guess I, for one, would like to open up the books and see what we're dealing with, at least since I've joined the commission. Who's applied, who's been told what is, because the messaging is very unclear. It is in fact contradictory. And in my efforts to enlarge the role of this commission in our community, I've had difficulty recruiting even people who are clearly invested in these issues because of some very inconsistent messaging about who's eligible and who can participate. So it's really holding us back, and I think an audit is in order to see what the messaging has been over the years about this, because just in the meeting minutes from the last 3 years, I'm not sure we would find it to be consistent, what folks are being told along the way, which applications Larry gets to see. I mean, I just don't even know what gets held up in what part of this bureaucracy. And that's difficult when we are really trying to strengthen the role of the Disability Commission.
I think all of you bring forward some very important points, and I agree with you, folks. I think that we need to look into this, and then just kind of get to the bottom of it, find out kind of what we need to do to make sure that all applicants that apply are at least indeed given a clear look. Elizabeth, you had a question?
I just wanted to echo what Matthew said. I've heard anecdotally people being told, you aren't eligible for this board or commission because you aren't a resident, and that's not accurate. And so
Okay.
the people are,
No.
there are emails that I think I think people have gotten emails from Christine communicating messages like that are
Oh, they
not-
have?
That, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah. So I'm happy to sit down with Larry so that we can talk through like recent applications that actually this body should be aware of, so that you know who the applicants are, because I see who they are. And that's a fairly new phenomenon. It's just in the last 10 months. All the council members have access to all the names of the applicants, and I think it's appropriate
Oh, nice.
that this whole table, or, I mean, if Larry's the committee head, that there be a little bit more discussion about who
Transparency.
this body might want to
Transparency.
have at this table.
Right.
It's more than 3 people.
Yeah, I think, to reiterate, I think transparency is important. You know, and I do want to thank the efforts on everyone so far that's sort of put out the efforts of recruiting, in terms of recruiting new members. Thank you for that, and I hope, again, that this can be something that we can look into and work out a very good solution for everyone, so that, again, all applicants are given a clear look, because I think that that's only fair. So, all right. I think with that, we can move forward, and Larry and Elizabeth, hopefully you guys can be in touch, and then maybe by the November meeting, have sort of some more information to report back. All right. Next is the Transportation Commission update from Mr. Tim Hall.
Hi, so yeah, the minutes are attached. We did have a lot of discussion about, well, we've got a meeting coming up, and we've got like a transit zoning district that we're talking about. It allows more density and mixed use and no parking minimums in the, like, designed for transit corridors. Their Planning Commission has proposed adding this to the Unified Development Code. And we're also discussing some things with Barton Drive. They're doing some resurfacing and removing some parking and sidewalk gaps. Those are on the agenda for the next meeting. The last meeting, we had a discussion about the DDA and parking. They came and gave a presentation. We also had a discussion about the comprehensive transportation plan, which actually the Transportation Commission does not have a formal role in it, because who has a formal role is dictated by a state law, which refers to planning commissions, but not every city has a transportation commission, so it's not referred to there. I guess we're going to be involved in some way, if not formally through the state law, but because there's a lot of discussion about that, and I know that they're holding open houses. I went to one for their comprehensive transportation plan. They had another one, and AAATA is doing one for their like long-range planning, and went to that, and that, well, actually I didn't go to that one. That one's next week, and I'm gonna be out of town, but there's a meeting in Ipsy Township, I think, tonight, but I got Transportation Commission anyway, so. Yeah, so that's what's going on. I mean, I don't know, yeah. Yeah, I know I had an RTA meeting for the Citizens Advisory Committee. They're moving along, but there's still not any huge movement there, but I guess that's what I had to say. Yeah.
Thank you, Tim.
Oh,
Larry, Tim, do you have one more thing?
Well, I just wanted to mention that the Washtenaw and Pittsfield crosswalk is open. I think it opened a couple weeks ago, but now you can cross just one way rather than crossing 3. I still saw people jaywalking using that island-like thing, but.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. And Larry, you have a comment?
I don't know if this is appropriate, but I do want to know where to take it. I don't know if it's for the Transportation Commission or whatever. I've heard a lot of driver complaints, especially in the downtown area. And one of the places I'm thinking about is Division, where they're putting in bike paths and they're narrowing the traffic, so vehicles like lift buses and other larger vehicles cannot get through without much difficulty. And and it's becoming a safety concern for some of them, for some of the people who drive Lyft buses and maybe AATA buses and that sort of thing. And they want to take it to the city. I don't know if it goes to the Transportation Commission, if they'd work on it, or if I have to get to recommend them to take their complaints to another part of the city. How do you do that?
They could, but the Transportation Commission is really an advisory body. I mean, they could take it there,
Yeah.
they could take it to city council, but I'm just wondering, is this related to while it's under construction, or is this like,
Well-
because I think it's still under construction at the moment.
One of the ones isn't, one of the areas that I was gonna ask after the meeting, but I wondered if you knew anything about it, is between Packard and Hill. And the road has been narrowed down, the cars have to park in the street, the bike lane is wider than the car lane apparently.
Oh, you're talking about division.
Yeah, this is one of the areas that's been brought, and it's finished.
Excuse me, Larry. Elizabeth, do you know anything about that?
About the status of division?
Yeah.
I actually have heard conflicting information. I know that it's in discussion. I just got an email earlier today about it. I was told a couple of weeks ago that emergency vehicles were concerned that they would not be able to get through. Bus drivers, I guess, were having to back down the street when they realized they couldn't get through.
Okay.
There's a bit of anxiety about whether or not, what that's gonna look like in the winter when there's snow
Yeah.
piled up. So a couple weeks ago, my understanding was that changes were gonna happen on that stretch
Okay.
based on just the emergency vehicles, but then what I've heard since is that it's not. I don't know.
Is it-
We're
okay.
talking about it.
I mean, is there a deadline for finishing, or are they just?
I have no idea. My understanding, I don't think that it's a temporary arrangement. I think that it was the plan, but there are people in the area really concerned about it because it doesn't feel like there's enough space for even a single lane of
Yeah,
traffic to
and,
get
and,
through.
and a lot of them are paranoid to drive it. But so where do you take, where do I direct those folks to take their,
I suppose they
Direct.
could contact C-Click Fix, or they could contact Howard. I mean,
Howard Lazarus?
yeah. I mean, like I said,
Public Services. Is that Craig?
Craig Hubie is Public Services, yeah.
So would
Yeah.
would he be a more ideal contact to find out more information?
Maybe, I don't know. Honestly,
Okay.
like, we're trying to find out, because like, we're hearing from residents who are not liking it.
This is one of the projects I was thinking about when we start up because I want to see, I haven't been down there, right down there, but I want to go out there within the month and see if it actually is safe for people with disabilities, not to run into their parked cars and that kind of thing. And I also have another question to ask while we're on transportation real quickly. If you're crossing at a crosswalk, is there something that says you have to be on one side or the other? I was crossing at a crosswalk, and I bumped into somebody's car because they were stopped right in the middle of the crosswalk. And of course, they said, "Oh, I'm in the middle of the crosswalk," and I said, "Yeah, why?" So is there a law that says you can't park right in the middle of the crosswalk?
They're not supposed to go over the crosswalk.
Yeah, I mean.
They were right in the middle of it, sitting there talking on their phone, and I'm just wondering if there's a law for that, or if it's
Yes, there
just.
is.
What, there is a law.
Well, I'm
There's an
saying, I didn't
ordinance.
think you could stop in the middle of the crosswalk, go, "Oh yeah, I'm sitting in the middle of the crosswalk,
No.
where you're good."
It's
Well,
against
were
the
they
law to-
parked there, Larry, or that's where they stopped when they saw you?
They stopped there, they were talking on their phone, and I slammed into their car because I was coming
Well,
across.
it was probably someone who wasn't paying attention and they decided at the last second to follow the law and stop at the crosswalk. But
they
they
parked in the middle of
decided
it.
that too late, and that's why you walked into their car. They obviously, they probably couldn't have backed up. There was probably someone
Yeah,
stopped
so,
behind them.
I mean,
So you were in the right.
is that something you just go, "Okay, that's cool, see you later,
No,
bye,"
it's
or?
like, don't ever do that again.
No,
You
the
know,
next-
that's-
They
that's
stopped
kinda
there
what I said.
possible.
before
Isn't it-
you started crossing? or-
Apparently, because they were right
Well,
there.
they
It's
stopped
possible
too
if it
late.
was really slow traffic, maybe they were not being considerate in the same way you
Yeah.
stop before a driveway. Like, they just didn't realize
Yeah.
they were in a
Well,
crosswalk.
well, I get it, but when you crash into the car, you're coming in and crash into the car, it
The
says,
car's
They're
not
not
moving
supposed
though,
to be
right?
oh, I'm in the middle of the crosswalk. I said, what? Yeah,
All right.
yar.
Well, so what you're
Why?
saying, but what you're saying, Larry, to sort of
They're not supposed to
circulate
be
back,
there, Larry.
is there, a law against that or a way to stop that from happening?
And what do you do? That's,
Well,
or who do you,
in some cases, I wonder if it's, well, this wouldn't be if you were already crossing and they came, that'd be different, but like, I'm wondering if they were pulled up because they couldn't see back there very well to turn and like,
oh, this is right in the middle. There wasn't even a
No.
good turn.
It-
This was right by Arbor Farms, man. You can see
It
right
is-
on the street.
It is definitely, against the law to be on a crosswalk.
Yeah, you can't stop
They,
on
they
crosswalk.
would've got a ticket if the police would've seen them.
Mhm.
They would've gotten a ticket.
If you
And-
had
and I just thought
gotten
our
a
answer was bizarre,
license
too.
plate,
Why?
Larry, you could have reported it.
I mean, I just thought their answer, oh, I'm in the middle of the crosswalk, sitting here talking on the phone, don't mind me.
They're not even supposed to go past the white lines at all.
But my question, the question is, if there is something, you can't really do anything about it unless you get the license plate number and everything.
Right. I mean, there's a law, but yeah, like
Yeah.
we said,
Well,
unless
there's
you get a
probably
license
some,
plate.
kind of, video of it, if, in that area, they might have been able to get that, license plate, if you know the date and time. Larry.
No, I hear you, but, I mean, it was such a minor thing at the point, but, you gotta stop people from doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's unfortunate that happened, Larry.
And you're not always gonna remember a time and place, but
Right.
you're just gonna go,
Well, I would just say that, if this happens again, let us know and please try to do your, I guess, due diligence to get as
Yeah.
much information as you can. All right. Well, thank you for that. So Kathleen is not here today, so we will not be doing the U of M Council for Disability Concerns meeting update. Thank you, Corey. You did send those minutes over. So we did get those through email. Are there any other announcements today? Okay. Any new business? All right. Well, with that, I would like to adjourn the meeting. It is now 5 o'clock. Thank you, everyone, and I will be in touch with all of you about all of the things discussed. If there are questions and/or comments about today's meeting, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next month.
Hey, Larry,
yeah.
I meant to ask and I forgot. Is your micromobility subcommittee still meeting?
I haven't heard anything from them in months.
Disability.